Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Friday. It's time for a viewpoint. I haven't done one of these in a while. What is a viewpoint? It's a little bit like the old school rants, but with less shouting and less moaning and less shit, really, to be perfectly honest. But I think it's important to do videos like this. You know, I like using this channel to talk about stuff that sometimes I think needs talking about in the magic community. And this is only my opinion. You might agree with me, you might disagree with me, but I wanted to bring something up, something I've not really spoken about before, and that's magic lecturers, okay? People that go and lecture at magic conventions and magic clubs. I'm really talking more about people that lecture at magic conventions, though, because there's two things that I see all of the time when I go and watch people lecture at a magic convention, and frankly, it really winds me up. The one thing isn't so bad, but it really does kind of frustrate me. But the second thing I get very annoyed about. So let's talk about both of them, because I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'd love to know your thoughts, because just because this is my opinion doesn't make it right. Right, so the first thing that I want to talk about, and this is kind of the thing that's not really that bad, but it is frustrating, is when you hire a lecturer, and a lecturer goes to a magic convention and they basically do a straight up dealer dem, in that all they do is dem stuff that in order to be able to do it, you have to buy a physical product. There's nothing that they teach that you could walk away and do from that lecture. You know, it was never like that in the olden days. It was not, you know, I sound like back in my day, but it was never like that back in my day. It really wasn't. I remember going to lectures and it'd just be amazing. It'd be a load of stuff. You'd take a deck of cards out. You'd follow along with it. You'd learn something. Even if it was a move or a sleight, you'd learn something. And then there were other lecturers where they'd teach a whole bunch of stuff and then it would be available as like lecture notes. So you could get lecture notes if you wanted to, but you don't have to because you're learning something in the lecture anyway. I've got no problem with lecturers coming in and maybe teaching something from a project that they've brought out, or a couple of things from a project. But when you're watching a lecturer for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's basically just a straight up dealer dem, it's frustrating. I really think that when you go and lecture, you should be able to put stuff in that lecture that people could go away and do straight away. Maybe I'm old school like that, but that's what I believe. Now, I understand it from a lecturer's point of view. I totally get it. Outside of conventions, you're not going to get a massive fee going and lecturing. You're just not. I think the standard fee to go and do a lecture these days is like 200, 250 quid, which sounds decent. It's not bad, but you've got to remember a lot of the people that are lecturing are probably pros that are making a lot more than that going out and doing a gig. And a lecture is going to take all evening. Plus, that normally includes any fee, it includes any expenses. Maybe not a hotel. A lot of the time you get a hotel, but it'll definitely not include traveling there. You know, you can travel to a lecture and pay like 50 or 100 quid in food and petrol and whatever. So I totally get it. The fee isn't great. Especially you're probably going to be there from 7 till 10, maybe even 7 till 11. You're going to have to get there early. It's going to take you out, you know, probably for the best part of a whole day driving there. I get why lecturers put a focus on the dealer dem. I do, because the way that a lot of lecturers make money is by selling their gear, by selling their products. And that's fine, and I've got no problem with that. But at least make it so it's not just, right, okay, for my first trick, I'm going to do this. Now, there's no way you can do this because it needs a thing that I had specially made, but you can buy this from me at the back of the room. Now, let me show you this. This is a great trick. Oh my God, this is amazing. Right, you're going to need this special thing, which I'm going to sell at the back of the room. Or I'm going to show you this. Now, this requires a gimmick. This is the gimmick. Let me show you how to make it. You spend 2 seconds showing them how to make it. There's no way they're going to be able to make it with that explanation. But don't worry, because I have them available at the back of the room. It's bullshit. You know, people don't have as much money these days. At least not everyone has as much money because of the financial climate, because of the, you know, whatever the reason might be. You know, you don't want to have to go to a convention or go to a lecture and have to spend 400 or 500 quid to do do the tricks that you've just watched performed. Like I say, you want to put some stuff in there that's for sale at the back of the room. That's great. That's fine. You want to have lecture notes that breaks down how every single trick is done. Fine. Perfect. But putting just non-stop this and this and this, I don't agree with that. So when I do a lecture, now here's the thing. Up until a couple of years ago, I'd been off the lecture circuit, like completely off the lecture circuit. I left the magic community for years. I came back. Few people wanted me to lecture. I've not pushed it. I've not advertised it. I'm a little bit like the A-Team. If you can find me, you can book me. But I've not really done many lectures other than some big conventions. But every time I've done a lecture, I've made sure that, yeah, there's normally 1 or 2 tricks in there that are marketed tricks. But even then, I teach how to make it. Like the quantum deck came out 2 weeks before Blackpool Magic Convention. I lectured it at my lecture at the Blackpool Magic Convention, and then I taught exactly how it was done, and I broke down exactly what they needed to do to prep a deck, which Murphys weren't too happy with, to be honest, but there you go. But, you know, I might put a trick or 2 in there that are commercially available, but I'll make sure I put some other stuff in there as well that they can do just with stuff that's lying around the house, or just with stuff that they've got in their bottom drawer, or just with stuff that they carry around with them anyway. And I always make sure that I put in there material that I've not marketed, unpublished material. You know, I went to see a lecturer recently, I'm not going to say their name, and it was nothing new, because I'd got all of their stuff and they were just doing the stuff that I'd already seen. It was just basically a waste of my time being there, because I knew every single trick. It's nice for them to put something different in, or something something that people might not have seen before, but definitely don't make it just a dealer dem. So that's the first point. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. That's point number 1. It's a minor irk. It's not pissing me off. It's just a minor irk. The next one, however, this is the one that I get really frustrated about. This is the one that I get really angry about, and I genuinely don't understand it. Well, I do understand it, but I think it's bullshit. And what I'm talking about is lecturers, and it's not every lecturer. I'm telling you right now, it's not every lecturer. But I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about, or the people I'm talking about. If you think I'm talking about you, guess what? I am. The lecturers I'm talking about are those lecturers that are booked at a convention. This typically happens at a convention. They're booked at a convention, and maybe they're booked to do a lecture, and possibly they're booked to do a close-up show or something like that. And they're booked, and they go to the convention, but you never fucking see them at all during that whole convention. You never see them. They don't hang out in the bar with all of the other delegates and all the other convention attendees and the other lecturers. They don't hang in the bar. They literally make themselves as scarce as possible. God knows what they're doing. They're sitting in their hotel room counting their money. They're sitting in they're you know, pulling a hood over their head so nobody recognizes who they are, and they're just disappearing off somewhere out away from the convention so they can kind of just not be around magicians. I see that happening. There's certain names that do that, and I just think it's absolute bullshit. And let me tell you why, right? Who the hell do you think you are? You know, these people that are considered like, you know, the only reason I can see why they do that is because they think they're such a star in the magic community. They're so big, they're so important that they don't want to mingle with the masses. They don't want to mingle with all the other convention attendees. They want to turn up, they want to do their lecture, and then they want to get out of there so that they don't have to speak to people individually. I've been to conventions very recently over the last year. I've been at conventions and there's been a star lecturer. You can always tell the star lecturer, he's the person that everybody knows. And guess what? The one person who's never in the bar hanging out with the other delegates, the person who's never hanging around the other lecturers, the person who just makes themselves completely scarce and doesn't appear at all, is that star lecturer. They're more than happy to take your money. Oh, yeah, they're more than happy to take your money. They're more than happy. Oh, wow. After that lecture, they're going to be sitting at their little desk, and they're going to be there, and they're going to be nice as pie if you've got something to hand over to them, if you're going to give them their money, because that's what it's all about. But outside of that, if you're not there in their lecture, if you're not there handing them over money at the end of the lecture, they don't want to know. And those people, and like I say, you know who I'm talking about. You know the people I'm talking about. Those people who just aren't present at the convention at all. They've probably been booked at a higher fee than any of the other lecturers that are there. They've probably had a much higher fee. They're doing exactly the same thing as the other lecturers, but they're getting that higher fee because they've got that name. And I get that. They've worked hard to get that name. But you know what? There's people that have probably booked to come to that convention because that name is attached to that convention. And part of magic conventions is hanging out with each other. Some of my fondest memories are going to the Blackpool Magic Convention, sitting in the Ruskin with people who I never would have dreamed I would be sitting down with, thinking, what the hell am I doing? I'm sitting at this table with this person and we're just having a drink together. This is amazing. The people that I'm talking about would never do that. They would never hang out in the Ruskin. They'd never hang out in the convention bar. They would never do that because they're busy sitting in their fucking bedroom, in their hotel room, with all of their money that they've just been given for their tat that they've sold, spread out on the bed, and they're lying there naked on top of the money doing fucking spread eagles. Those are the people that I'm talking about. And I've got a message for them. First of all, get over yourself. You know, yeah, you may be a star lecturer. You may be getting paid more than anyone else. You may have a big name within the magic community. But guess what? You walk out of that convention and you walk up and down the street. Nobody fucking knows who you are. Stop drinking your own Kool-Aid. Stop trying to make out to yourself that you're big and important, because frankly, you're not. If you're as big as important as you think you are, you wouldn't be coming to a convention to lecture to people. You wouldn't be selling your magic tricks. You'd be going out doing something else. A lot of the time, not all the time, but you know as well as me, a lot of the time, the people that lecture, that are these star lecturers that spend their time lecturing at convention and convention and convention, and they only appear for that one lecture and that disappear, never see them again. They hardly ever gig. They hardly ever go out and perform because they're too busy sitting in their bedroom trying to come up with the next piece of tat that they can market to magicians, so they've got something else to sell them at a convention. You know, you may think that I'm not the greatest magician of all time. I'm cool with that. That's absolutely fine. You know that all of the stuff that I put out, I work in the real world, though, because if it doesn't get worked in the real world, it ain't going to get sold. It ain't going to get released. It's as simple as that. And the other thing is, when I'm at a convention, I make sure I'm there. I'm in the convention bar. I'm walking around. You can come up to me. You can say, hi, I've just been to at the Midwest Magic Convention. I was there the whole time. Me and Ryland were there in the bar, having a drink, having a great... Well, he wasn't having a... Well, he was. It was a Sprite. We were both having a great time. We were just hanging out and chatting to people. And I'm not a big name. I'm not a big name. I'm there lecturing, which is fantastic. But I'm not as big a name as some people. But I'm there. I'm front and center. I'm not going to disappear when I've done my lecture and piss off and make sure that nobody sees who I am or where I am. I'm not going to, you know what? When I go to a convention, I like going to everybody's lectures. It's not always possible. And sometimes at Blackpool, I'm running around. I'm really busy. Last year, Ryland was at the Bear Pit. I was on the Alakazam stand. I was on the Magic TV stand. I was running around all over the place. I was doing the Magic Podcast live. But I was still making sure that I was there. I was front and center. And if anybody had a question, I would try my absolute best to answer it. But it's so frustrating. It really is. You know, I've been to conventions, and Ryland's only just started going to conventions the last couple of years, and he's gone to conventions in the past specifically to see a particular entertainer or specifically to see a particular magician, and he's been disappointed more than once when he's gone to this convention to see this magician, and he's seen them in the lecture, but then outside of the lecture, can't find him, nor love, nor money. Disappeared completely. Now, you look at somebody like Jackie Yu. Jackie Yu is incredible. You know, when Ryland went to the session and Jackie was standing there, Ryland went running up to Jackie and Ryland was like, Jackie, and Jackie was like, Ryland. You know, there's certain people within this community, they are part of the community. They really are. They're part of this community. And that's what it should be about. Magic, at the end of the day, is a hobby. Magic for me is a hobby. If I didn't create magic, if I didn't perform magic, if I didn't make money from magic, I would still be doing it. I would still be going to conventions. It would still be a hobby because I love it. I eat, breathe, sleep, and drink magic. Just because I create magic, just because I'm paid to lecture, doesn't mean that I can then kid myself into thinking I'm the biggest thing in the world and that I can not bother hanging out with other people because they are beneath me. What's the reason? What's the reason why these star lecturers only turn up to count the money at a lecture and disappear the rest of the time? Is it because they think they're too big and important to hang out with the little people? Is it because they've got this huge name and they want to protect this brand and they think that by hanging out with normal people, the brand won't be affected? Is it that, you know, if they sit down with people in a bar and start showing them magic, they might have to show them some of the tricks they're going to try and sell on them later on so they'll make less money for their cheap tat? Is it because, like, what's the reason? I don't know what the reason is, but all I know is that there are certain names in this industry that have been around for a very long time, and they are paid a lot of money to travel around the world, going to conventions, and part of the deal should be that they hang out with people outside of that 1 hour session that they've got where they're doing a lecture. They should be that, because a lot of people, that's why people come to conventions. People come to conventions for the social aspect. That's the main reason people come these days, because everything else you can get online. Any lecture of anywhere in the world, you can probably find it online, either an academy, a masterclass, an at the table, a Penguin Live. You're going to be able to find any lecture online. You want to see the latest tricks that are in the dealer hall, you can go on any magic website and you're going to be able to see those trailers on there. So what's the reason? What's the reason for going to a magic convention? It's that social aspect. It's connecting with other magicians, other like-minded people that are doing the same as you and love doing the same as you. And you know what? If some of these big name convention lecturers got off their high fucking horse for a minute and realized that just because they're paid to be there and just because they've released a few tricks, it doesn't make them God's gift to magic. It really doesn't. And if they actually realize that and they hung out with some of the other magicians that are there, they might have a good time. But as far as I'm concerned, they don't love magic. These people, and again, you know who I'm talking about, these people that get booked and paid to turn up to a convention and they literally just check in when it's lecture time and then fucking check out straight away afterwards, those people, they don't love magic. They don't. They love what they can get from magic because they don't go to conventions unless they're paid to be there. I do. Ask me how much I got paid for the Midwest Magic Convention when I went over to Ireland. Absolutely nothing. I did it because Leon was putting a new convention on and I wanted to help him. I'm going to the session for the 3rd year this year. I'm not booked to perform there. I don't have a dealer stand. I'm just going there. I go to a ton of lectures. The Newmarket Magic meetup, the shindig, I went there just to hang out with people because that's what I like doing. I like hanging out with magicians. Think about some of the big name magicians that you see advertised for these conventions. Think about when the last time was that you saw them just attending a magic convention that they're not booked and paid to go to, or they don't have a dealer stand at. When was the last time? Danny Goldsmith is booked for Blackpool this year. But guess what? Last year, he was at the Blackpool Magic Convention just hanging out and showing people coin magic. There's a guy that loves magic. You can see it when you watch him perform. You can see it when you sit down and talk to him. He travelled across the whole world to come and hang out with other magicians and show them coin magic. And now he's booked this year, but I guarantee you he's going to be hanging around in the bars and he's going to be having a great time showing people coin magic because that's a guy that loves magic. But think about these big name magicians that get booked for these conventions. How often do you see that at a magic convention when they've not been paid to be there? None. Never. Doesn't happen. Why does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you that they don't care about magic. It tells you that they don't care about the art. As much as they talk about the art and let me tell you what about magic because I know everything. Forget about that. They don't know about the art. They don't care about the art. They don't care about magic. All they care about is how much money that they can get from conventioners' pockets by selling them cheap tat at the end of their lecture. That's all they care about. Because tell me when I'm telling lies. I'm not. Because here's the thing. If I was wrong, then they would be coming to conventions just hanging out. They don't. I see loads of big names. David Regal, I've seen him hang out at Magic Live every single year. He's not always doing something. I see loads of people hanging out that are big names. You know, they're the same people that you see them in the bar. You see them chatting to the new magicians, to the people, to the kids. You see them chatting to the kids in Magic. You see that all of the time. You see certain people that go that extra mile and they care about that responsibility that they have as a big name in Magic. But there are people, like I say, if they cared, they would go to Magic conventions that aren't paying them to be there. If they cared, they would be present at those conventions outside of when they're selling their shit at their lecture. If they cared, you would see them in the bar. If they cared, you would see them doing something else other than just counting their money. They don't care about Magic. They don't care about the community. They don't care about anything other than lining their pockets. That is what Magic is to them. Magic is important to them because it is a way of making more money. That is it. Tell me when I'm telling lies, because I'm telling you right now, I'm not. And the other thing is, if you think that I'm talking about you, I am. And I said I wasn't getting annoyed by this. I am getting annoyed because it's happened more than once where Ryland's been disappointed because he wanted to see this particular name in Magic and he got dismissed. There's somebody who I'm not going to mention, and Ryland went to a convention and that person was there, and Ryland went up to them and said hi, and he just blanked him and walked off. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't doing anything at all. He was just sitting down, walked off. Scum. Absolute, complete and total scum. You wipe your arse just like everybody else. You shit just like everybody else. And to think that you're important and you're more important than other people just because you've invented a few fucking magic tricks. Here's an idea. Why don't you get off your high fucking horse for a couple of seconds and actually realize that it's just fucking magic tricks? And if you actually cared and if you actually wanted to treat this as a hobby, you might enjoy it rather than just looking at each individual interaction with people that you meet as how you can make money off them. It's really, really frustrating. And that is why I'm annoyed this week. And that's why this week I'm doing another Viewpoint. You might disagree with me. You might agree with me. I don't know. But the day is coming. I'm telling you right now, the day is coming where more lecture, where the whole deal of them thing is not going to be accepted. The day is coming where there's a new breed of people being booked for conventions that actually care about being there and care about being front and center. That's one of the things that you can actually say, fair play to this session convention. Every single lecturer, they hang out in the bar. A couple of years ago, Adam Wilbur lecturing at the convention. He was there in the bar the whole time. Tobias Dostal, same. Mario Lopez, same. There's people that do it right. They care about their fan base. They care about their reputation, and they just want to hang out, and that's great. And if you are a big name magician and you do this, and there's 3 or 4 people I'm talking about, and I think that most people, I'm not going to say names, I don't care, but I think that everybody's watching this knows who I'm talking about. And if that's you, just have a quiet word with yourself, because frankly, you're fucking pathetic. That's it. That's all I've got to say about that. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you get frustrated? Do you think it's fair that they get booked and they come over to the other side of the world and you literally never see them for more than 1 hour when they're peddling their crap? Let me know in the comments down below, because frankly, it drives me up the wall. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I'm going to be back again tomorrow with an interview on Talk Magic and then a Q&A and a review show special on Sunday. I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Craig, and as normal, this is Magic TV.